Yo, what is up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the top 10 most legendary MMA fights of all time. Now, at number 10, this is an all-time classic. It happened back in 2010, in August of UFC 117, and it was between Anderson Silva and Chael Sonnen. This was the first time they ended up fighting. Honestly, in my opinion, it is the greatest middleweight fight of all time. Now, in this fight, as you guys know, Anderson Silva was a huge favorite to win this fight. I mean, no one really thought Chael Sonnen was going to win this fight. At the time, he was 25-10-1. Everyone was really ruling out Chael Sonnen's chances of winning the fight. They all thought he was just getting the title shot because he had really good trash talk. But when he went in there, he really backed up that trash talk as he absolutely dominated Anderson Silva for 4 straight rounds. And in the 4th round, decided to take Anderson Silva down. Literally everyone watching that fight was like, dang, this is going to be the end of Anderson Silva's run. Chael Sonnen is going to be the new middleweight champion. And right when everyone started to think that, right when everyone was like, Anderson Silva's going to be not a champion in about 2-3 minutes, Anderson Silva throws up a triangle choke and submits Chael Sonnen. Absolutely insane. The ending of this fight is absolute classic. He just tapped literally 3 minutes, 10 seconds into that last round. That was definitely the 10th most legendary fight of all time. Alright, now coming in at number 9, it is Kelvin Gastelum versus Israel Adesanya. Now, this was not exactly a title fight. It was actually an interim title fight for the interim middleweight championship. Now, Israel Adesanya did end up winning this fight by unanimous decision. It was a very good fight. Now, everyone remembered this. It just happened a year ago. Israel Adesanya, it was back and forth. I think the first round kind of went to Israel Adesanya, the second to Kelvin Gastelum, the third to Israel Adesanya, the fourth to Kelvin Gastelum. And once they got into that 5th round, everyone was like, wow. This 5th round is going to decide it all. Israel Adesanya ended up knocking Kelvin Gastelum twice. They were all bloody. Israel Adesanya's lip looked like it had just been blown up. The ending of this fight was absolutely amazing. Israel Adesanya ended up almost knocking out Kelvin Gastelum with minutes left in the fight. But the fight did go to decision, where Israel Adesanya won the fight, making him the interim champion at middleweight. It was an absolutely legendary fight, and that is why we have him as the number 9 most legendary fight of all time. Alright, now for the 8th most legendary fight of all time between Robbie Lawler and Carlos Condit. This fight was absolutely insane. Now, if you look at the actual fight stats after the fight was over, Carlos Condit literally had double the amount of significant strikes. It was absolutely insane. Now, the first round was pretty close, but I would definitely have to give that first round to Carlos Condit. The second round was a little bit closer, but I definitely would give that one to Robbie Lawler. He definitely landed a lot more shots in that second round. Now, the third round was the closest round of all of them. 2 of the judges actually gave that to Lawler. One of the judges gave that round to Condit. I thought it was very close, but I would slightly give it to Robbie Lawler to win that third round. It was a super close round. It honestly could have gone to either fighter. The 4th round, both of them were looking like they had to get that 4th round. And guess what? Robbie Lawler did not get that 4th round. Carlos Condit ended up getting that 4th round, which in my opinion made it tied at 38-38, and that 5th round was absolutely crazy. Both of these dudes went out there in the 5th round, and they laid it all out. I mean, both of them landed more than 50 strikes each. They're both eating as much shots as they could. But I definitely think Robbie Lawler landed the bigger shots in that 5th round that stung Carlos Condit quite a bit. And I do think Robbie Lawler won 3 out of 5 of those rounds, making him the champion. Now, this fight was absolutely legendary because it was a split decision win for Robbie Lawler. To be honest, I'm really sad that they didn't do a rematch after that fight, but you know, it was a very legendary fight, and it was very influential for that welterweight division. All right, now for the seventh most legendary fight of all time. Now, both of these dudes, after the fight, they looked like they had just gotten punched in the face over 200 times, and that is exactly what happened. Both of these guys got hit in the face so many times in this fight. It was absolutely insane. Yoel Romero had a total of 6 takedowns in this fight. He actually attempted 20 takedowns in this fight. Now, at the beginning of the fight, Robert Whittaker was definitely the better fighter. I mean, he was absolutely dominating on the feet. Yoel Romero was getting some takedowns every now and then, but those first 2 rounds had definitely gone to Robert Whittaker. Everyone thought, okay, Robert Whittaker is definitely just going to dominate this fight. For the rest of the fight, maybe get a unanimous decision for Robert Whittaker. But no, in that 3rd round, Yoel Romero was like, nah, I'm coming back. And Yoel Romero dominated that 3rd round with a buttload of takedowns, even knocked down Robert Whittaker, I believe, I'm pretty sure, and got that 3rd round. The 4th round was definitely the one that a lot of people are split on. Not much people are very agreeable when it comes to who won that 4th round. The 5th round definitely went to Yoel Romero. So without that 4th round, it was definitely 2-2, tied at 38-38. Now, if you look at that 4th round, I mean, Robert Whittaker was definitely landing the harder shots. He was kind of pushing the pace a little bit. Yoel Romero was definitely looking a little bit tired. Robert Whittaker was definitely kind of following him around. And if you want to go into the aggression, I think Robert Whittaker definitely had a little bit more aggression in that 4th round and was landing a lot more of the bigger strikes. So I definitely think Robert Whittaker won that 4th round, making him the winner. But he did win that fight by split decision. It was an absolutely amazing performance by both fighters. I'm really sorry that Yoel Romero did not win that fight by split decision, because if he did, there would be a trilogy, and that fight would be absolutely insane. So yeah, that's why we have this as the 7th most legendary fight of all time. Alright, now for the 6th most legendary fight of all time between Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz. Now, this fight, the reason it is so legendary, Conor McGregor was supposed to be a double champion by now, but Nate Diaz was like, no, I'm going to keep you here for a couple of years back in 2016, and no way you're going to go up there and get that lightweight belt without losing a fight to me. The first round is pretty even. I think Conor McGregor sort of got it. Both of these guys looked really bloody after the first round. In the second round, Conor McGregor made a huge mistake. He sort of went down for a takedown, and I'm sorry, Conor. You honestly paid for it. As Nate Diaz was like, okay, you want to go down, try to get a takedown on me? Got your back and submitted you in the second round, near the end of the second round. I mean, it was an absolutely legendary fight. Absolutely insane. Now, the fight after this one, Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz 2, that was even more legendary. The 5th most legendary fight of all time. Now, this fight, a lot of people thought was super duper close. I mean, if you look at those judges' scorecards, it was 48-47, 48-47, and 47-47 for the winner of Conor McGregor. There was actually a draw on this fight card, which was kind of weird. They thought Nate Diaz got a 10-8 round in the 3rd round. I mean, he definitely dominated that 3rd round. I don't think it was a 10-8 round, though. I mean, if you look at that fight, it was absolutely insane. The first round, it definitely saw Conor McGregor go out there and do much better in the striking. Same with the second round. The 3rd round was an absolute domination from Nate Diaz. The 4th round, I say, kind of flipped backwards, back to Conor McGregor with a nice 3rd round win. And at that point, he was already winning 39-37. And in the last round, I definitely think Nate Diaz went out there and won that one, making the scorecards 48-47. I don't think it was a draw at all. I think that fight definitely ended for a Conor McGregor win, and it was an absolutely legendary fight. Honestly, I will watch that fight over and over and over. It is so entertaining to watch. Just make sure after you watch this video to go watch that fight. It was absolutely insane. That fight, it's so legendary. You guys have to watch it. UFC 202, just watch that fight. Absolutely insane. Alright, now for the 4th most legendary fight of all time between Jon Jones and Alexander Gustafsson. This fight was absolutely insane. Now, in the very first round, Alexander Gustafsson actually ended up beating Jon Jones. Across the scorecards, 10-9s for every single one of them for Alexander Gustafsson. He went out there and did really good in that first round. The second round was a little bit different. It was much closer than that first round, but I definitely think Jon Jones won that round. Some people thought Gustafsson won that one, but at that point I would think it was 19-19. Now in the third round, it was even closer, but again, I would give it to Jon Jones. Jon Jones was definitely winning that third round. The fourth round, even closer, but I think Jon Jones won that one as well. So at that point, Jon Jones has already won 3 out of those 5 rounds. But in that fifth round, I mean, come on, man. Gustafsson goes out there and just goes crazy. He goes for a knockout and doesn't get it. Jon Jones does his spinning stuff, lands some elbows, lands some kicks, and I do think Jon Jones won that fifth round. In my opinion, I think the scorecards were 49-46. I don't know why two of the judges had it a little bit differently, but Alexander Gustafsson really showed some flaws in Jon Jones' game. That is why this is the 4th most legendary fight of all time. Alright, now for the 3rd most legendary fight of all time between Gray Maynard and Frankie Edgar. Now, in the very first round, right at the beginning of the fight, guess what Gray Maynard did, like, out of the gate? He absolutely dominated, and I don't mean Khabib style, took him down and just started tapping him away, and went for submission after submission. No. Gray Maynard landed at least 100 shots on Frankie Edgar in that first round. Absolutely dominant victory in that first round, and I have to say that was definitely a 10-8 round for Gray Maynard. Things were not really looking good for Frankie Edgar at that point, but Frankie Edgar was like, all right, he just got a 10-8 round on me. I'm going to come back with 3 straight 10-9 rounds in a row. Guess what? That is exactly what he did. He got 3 10-9 rounds in a row on 2 of the judges' scorecards. One of the judges actually thought he lost that third round. The third round was very, very close. To be honest, it could have gone either way. I think it would have gone to Frankie Edgar. So at that point, Frankie Edgar had 38. I believe 9, 18, 30, 26. Wait. 9, 18, 27, 37. So Frankie Edgar was actually winning at that point, 38-37, and it was do or die for Gray Maynard. And Gray Maynard was like, all right, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to try to get a knockout. But he did not get a knockout, but he did win that 5th round, and it was very, very good. A very good ending to this absolutely legendary fight. Gray Maynard ended up winning that fight, making it 47-47 on one of the judges' scorecards. And then one of the other judges had it 48-46 for Frankie Edgar, and the other judge had it 46-48 for Gray Maynard. I mean, it was a crazy one. I mean, one judge thought it was a draw, one judge thought Frankie Edgar won, and one judge thought Gray Maynard won. So, I mean, the fight ended as a draw, and that is definitely why this is a top 3 most legendary fight of all time. Alright, now for the 2nd most legendary fight of all time between Forrest Griffin and Stephan Bonnar. Now this fight, I mean, it really set up the UFC in a very, very good situation. To be honest, without this fight, who knows where the UFC would be at right now. But really, this fight, I mean, it was crazy. And this fight did not go to the ground really ever in this fight. I mean, Griffin went out there, I think, kind of won that first round. The second round, I would say, went to Stephan Bonnar. The third round, we all know, went to Forrest Griffin. It was a very close third round. That went to Forrest Griffin. It was a 3-round fight. It was absolutely amazing. I mean, I can't really explain to you how legendary this fight was. You just have to go watch it. The Ultimate Fighter 1 finale. The Ultimate Fighter finale. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Literally right after I'm done with this video, I'm going to go watch the Ultimate Fighter 1 finale. I just need to watch it. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Now, let's get into the number 1 most legendary fight of all time. Alright guys, I'm going to give you a little moment just to think of what this number 1 fight of all time is going to be. Come on, the most legendary fight of all time. Just think. Come on, it's so obvious. Alright, I'll tell you. Robbie Lawler and Rory McDonald 2. The best fight of all time. The most legendary fight of all time. This fight was absolutely insane. I mean, guys, if you look at that scorecard on this fight, the first round went to Rory McDonald. He had a 10-9 round. The second round, I would kind of say it went to Robbie Lawler. At that point, it was tied at 20-20. The third round was a lot closer, but I definitely think Rory McDonald probably had gotten that third round. At that point, it was 29-28 Rory McDonald. And then for the fourth round, it was a lot closer than all the other rounds combined. That's kind of where everything got super duper bloody. But I definitely think Rory McDonald won that round as well. And he was about to win the fight. It was 39-37 Rory McDonald. So even if he had lost that fifth and final round, it wouldn't have mattered. He still would have won the fight. And in the fifth round, absolutely insane. Robbie Lawler, down on the scorecards, needs a knockout or a submission to win the fight. Now, no doctor is going to go in there and be like, oh, your nose looks really bad. We're gonna stop the fight. No, this is Robbie Lawler, Rory McDonald. These dudes are absolute beasts. There's no way this fight is getting stopped by a doctor. Someone needs to go unconscious, someone needs to go unconscious by a submission or a knockout. So in that fifth round, Robbie Lawler goes in there and lands one of the most powerful punches I've ever seen, and puts Rory McDonald right on his back. And that is where the fight is stopped. Robbie Lawler retains his welterweight belt and stays as the welterweight champion. Come on, guys. That is the most legendary fight of all time. There's no dispute. There is no other fight on this list that can be more legendary than this fight. There's no way. If someone wants to debate me on that, you can try, but this fight, absolutely insane. Robbie Lawler, Rory McDonald, the number one most legendary fight of all time. Alright, now, that is it for this video. It's been a very cool video looking at these most legendary fights of all time. Definitely Robbie Lawler versus Rory McDonald is definitely at the top of my list. Make sure to comment who you think is the number one fight of all time, the number one most legendary fight of all time. Make sure to put your top 10 in the comment section below. Make sure to like this video. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss daily content from me every single day. Make sure to subscribe. I'm out of here.